My good friend, Mr. Kurt Mortensen, is in the house. He's going to be talking about the millionaire psychology. Kurt's a good friend of mine. I've known him for decades. He has been, he's just a wonderful guy, wonderful guy. You got a problem, he's a guy that's going to be able to help. And he is very high tech. He's been very instrumental in helping us create and work with these authors and get all these wonderful materials on the site so that you have the access to be able to use it. He's a best-selling author. His books are all over the world. And he's going to talk a little bit about the millionaire psychology. Now, it could be $1 million, it could be $100, it could be $1,000. It doesn't matter. What's the psychology? What do people do? How do they think? You know, it's not so much behavior as it is mindset. Success is a mindset. It's a mindset. Your body's going to do what your brain believes. Your body and brain are one. Your body and brain are one. If you have been sitting on the couch all day and not doing anything, well, your brain's probably in a couch mood. If you get up and exercise, you go for a walk, then your brain's in a movement mood. So we're going to talk about the millionaire psychology. So let's take it away, Kurt, and let's go with Kurt right now. Welcome, Kurt. Thank you for being with us. Take it away.
Welcome. My name's Kurt Mortensen. This is Millionaire Psychology #1. The thing that everybody works on last and the most important, success, wealth, whatever you want in life, is an old book test. All the answers are there. Whatever you want to learn. You want to be a millionaire, start thinking, acting, and doing what other millionaires do. You want to be a successful entrepreneur, you do the same thing with those entrepreneurs. Success is an old book test. Those tests in school, you remember them. You open the book, the answers are there. It's not that hard. It's simple. Simple as something you can do. Work on this mindset. Do it first. Again, it's what everybody works on last. In fact, a famous college study shows when you look around at entrepreneurs around the world, the biggest obstacle is mindset. I can't do it. People won't believe in me. They're smart enough. I'm not smart enough. It matters. Your thoughts trigger emotions that comes across in your actions. It matters to what you do, how you think. And we're going to take a deep dive into this to really understand exactly how it works. Because these are the most important tools. I'll give you an example. So early on in my career, I loved seminars. I was in the seminar business. And I'd go watch and listen to these millionaires talk about their success, right? I'm going to get the secrets. And they all talked about vision and mindset and goal mindset stuff, right? I'm like, yeah, whatever. I've heard that before. I know I should put my goals in writing. I know I should have affirmations. No, it didn't happen for me until I realized that if every millionaire is talking about these tools, every successful person is talking about these tools, every CEO is talking about these tools, these are the tools, the most important tools that you can have. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about the mental game that success and wealth is an open book test. So this is the mental aspect of the game. We're going to build your roadmap for the future. We're going to help you be more successful. That's the key. And it's all about mindset because you can't borrow success. Your life is your own plot of ground. You can do what you want with it. You can plant what you want. You can let the weeds grow. You get to harvest. You get to share with other people. So what are you going to allow with your plot of land? Are you going to water it? Are you going to be happy with your plot of ground or ashamed of your plot of ground? This is your choice. This is your life. This is what you get to design. Your DNA coded for greatness. That is a key. And you can really leverage that as you understand how to use this. So the goal here is to become a student of success. That's what my early mentor Jim Rohn talked about, that become a student of success. Just because you hear it in the Think and Grow Rich, or I talk about it, or anybody talks about it, you decide, okay, that works for me. So you become a student, not a follower. You don't have to follow everything you hear. But if you keep hearing it, and it's one of those things that you've never tried, you're not doing, maybe that's something that you need to reconsider. Become a student. There are thousands of programs to help you be successful. The successandmoneyfoundation.org is one of those. So not all these programs might not resonate with you, but they do have a common theme to help you improve yourselves. Sometimes maybe the programs they didn't work for you, it was the wrong time. But the key to turning your desires into reality is finding other people that you resonate with. There's not always one solution. That's why we're becoming a student of success. To start Again, thinking, acting, and doing what other people are doing that have what you want. Whatever the goal is, fill in the blank. So the next key, again, as a student of success, customize your success plan to you, according to your talents, drive, personality, ability, strengths, weaknesses, time. You can benchmark what other people have done, but of course, personalize it to you, and that'll help you achieve success, or what I call that success blueprint. You can't build a building, especially a large building, a skyscraper, without a blueprint, and that's true with your success. So let's talk about that blueprint and build a foundation for your success. Because I've always researched and wondered what makes people successful, failures, average, super successful, millionaire, billionaire. So as I study successful people, I found that reaching success is like building a house. Certain steps, talked about the blueprint. There's certain things you have to start with. You have to start with the foundation before the roof. That's what the biggest challenge is. People want to go right to the roof to the very end. No, you have to start with the foundation. And that's a mistake many people make, is they want the quick fix. They want it to happen overnight. So a key thing to think about, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So take ownership of those dreams, take pride in those dreams, what you want to accomplish, to turn them into reality. And that burning desire, as Napoleon Hill talks about, that burning desire, you really want it. You desire this first step, you want to make it happen. Again, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Now, a lot of these things we're going to talk about, maybe you don't get why they work. That's okay. Just like a car, as long as you turn the key and it works, that's pretty much all you need to know. Sometimes you want to know a little bit more, and you can do that. But a lot of these things just work. Just try them out. Just try them out. I know you want the quick fix, but if you're 10, 20 pounds overweight, that didn't happen overnight. If you're deep in debt, that usually doesn't happen overnight. So how do you define success? Not other people, you. Doesn't matter what the world wants, what your family wants for you. What do you want? How do you define it? That's part of your homework. How do you define success? That's how you gain the winning edge. You know what you want. It doesn't take that much more effort to win the game. I mean, you've heard people talk about horse racing or golf or any type of sporting event. The first place team doesn't win by that much. Horse racing is what, a couple of seconds of that? So go out there, you decide what you want. Don't worry about the dream spitters, as we call them, people that want to pull you down and be negative all the time. That's how people are. They'll pull you down for being more successful, driving a nicer car. That's what people do. You've got to follow your heart here, and you decide how you want to define success. For example, I was flying into Southern California with my family, a small, petite little girl at the time. And my parents lived in Southern California, and it was December 26th. If you know anything about travel, it's one of the busiest travel days of the year, right after the holidays. And I looked at my ticket, and it said seat to be assigned. I'm like, oh no. So busy day, bottom of the list. I'll just say the holiday cheer had left the building, left the airport, and there wasn't even any seats. So we're just standing against the wall trying to entertain my daughter. And then the announcement comes, Mr. Kurt Mortensen, please come to the podium. I'm like, okay. So she had this long look on her face. She says, do you mind, would you be upset if we upgraded your whole family to first class? I'm like, that's awesome. You know, I travel a lot, I get a lot of upgrades, but upgrading a family is rare. On that day is rare. But hey, we'll take it. She says, the rest of first class is board. Here are your tickets. Welcome aboard. Awesome. So my wife sat by the window. My daughter on the aisle. I sat in the other aisle. And there was no room in the overhead compartments there in first class, so I took our stuff and put it behind that curtain in coach seating, not thinking much of it. And I sat down, and coach started to board, and they looked at this little girl in this big chair that they had given her cookies and sodas. She's giggling. She's happy. I'm happy. But the people board weren't happy. I saw anger, frustration, resentment, just general meanness. They looked at this girl, and I was thinking, wait a minute, you don't need a special license to buy first class, but here's human nature. Most people, not all, most people would rather resent the person sitting there than paying the price to get it. I thought about that the whole flight. And we landed, and I went to coach to get our stuff. Remember, it was behind the curtain. This guy looked at me very serious and says, you know what, you're not first class. You're no class. I'm like, ouch. What do you say to that? Nothing, you move on. But that's how people are. You follow this dream, Remember, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Remember that success is the best revenge, but you define how you're going to define success. That's the key. You decide how you're going to define success. And don't let the people trying to spit on your dreams pull you down. Just say, watch me, and make it happen. So let's talk about some of the breaks of success. This happens to most people. So you're trying to figure out why your car's not going fast. Well, the emergency brake's on. It's in first gear. We've got to get that. And so the breaks of success really holding you back is fear. Now remember, we've talked about this before. You were only born with 2 fears in your life. Every baby in the world will only be started by 2 things, the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. That's it. That's just make your head explode. Wow, that means you've learned all these fears so you can unlearn them. You could put a snake in a baby's crib. They don't care. They public speak all night long and they don't care. That's what it is. We got to get these brakes off so you can pick up speed. You have to understand fear and understand every successful person has the same fears you probably have. They've just faced them, dealt with them a little bit better. They still have the same fears. I promise you. I've talked to a lot of millionaires. I promise you they have the same fears. They just like to be more successful in the fear. So you have to make sure that the fear holding you back is not as big as the fear of what you don't want to happen in the future. I mean, you got to adjust your fears. So, where does fear come from? It's learned. Society, experience, parents, worry, we've learned it. So you really need to understand exactly how that works. So we're going to unlearn this fear. The biggest fear probably for most is maybe the fear of failure, fear of criticism's up there, fear of what other people are going to think, right? Most of criticism, oh, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? Holds a lot of people back. So I pulled a quote from Napoleon Hill. Remember, he's the author of Think and Grow Rich. He's the one that interviewed hundreds of millionaires to find out what they had in common. Here it is. The fear of criticism robs a man or woman of their initiative, destroys their power of imagination, limits their individuality, and takes away the self-reliance. Huge. Off the charts. That's the key. Look what it's doing. How much money has it cost you? So what are your triggers? What triggers these fears? You've learned them. So if you can think about where you've learned them, you can unlearn them. You can give it a different meaning. If you were a child and you tripped on stage and the whole auditorium laughed, watch it. Visualize it as an adult and watch yourself trip and laugh. Give it a different meaning. Oh, man, it wasn't that big of a deal. All right, well, I didn't really fail the class. Whatever it is, what are your triggers? And I'm okay with you having a little fear. That's okay. You know, I teach public speaking. It's one of the things I teach. One of the things that I do, I say it's okay to have a little nerves. Some butterflies, just get the butterflies to fly in formation. That's okay. I would be afraid for you if you didn't have a little fear. That means you didn't care. So think about what are your triggers and then come up with the ritual. You're going to visualize something more positive. You're going to change your thoughts. You're going to take deeper breaths. Because did you know that fear and excitement secrete the same chemicals in your body? Did you know that? Your body doesn't know the difference. Your brain does. So switch it up. Turn that fear into excitement. So fear is short, shallow breaths, focusing on the negative things that could happen. Excitement's bigger, deeper breaths, more oxygen into your brain, gathering information, and focusing on the more positive things. So what's your self-talk? I call it T. Know that your thoughts control your emotions and your emotions control your actions. That's what that acronym stands for. So if you're focusing on all the negative, you're getting up to speak, what if you fail? What if they laugh? Triggers all those fears and negative emotions which come across in your demeanor and your actions. So your thoughts are a real thing. No thoughts in your mind can reside rent-free. You got to start there. Maybe you need to focus on past victories, things that you've accomplished, things you did well. Think about them. If you can't remember them, ask other people. When you visualize on past victories, past experiences when you've done really well, that can make a big difference. Being prepared. That's a big one. The more you prepare in your mind, you see it, you practice, you prepare, the fear erodes away. I promise you, guarantee it. It's usually when you haven't prepared, you're not feeling confident, triggers fear, and that tends to be a downward spiral for people. So the more you can prepare and think it through, visualize it, change your thoughts, that makes a big difference. That can help you overcome fear. And for some, this doesn't work for everybody. What's the worst thing that could happen? See, some people go straight to the super impossible negative. I'm going to die, heart attack. No, I mean, really. If you were in school, what's the worst thing you do? Maybe you fail that assignment. Okay, no big deal. A potential client says no. Okay, I can deal with that. So we just work it through early. What is the worst thing that can happen? That could tend to be a big one that can make a huge difference. I get it. Fear is real. It's out there, but you have to realize what fear has cost you and is costing you. You can change the meaning to where, all right, I didn't really almost die. Or we talked about walking across the stage and tripping. You know, that is really kind of funny, even though everybody laughed. You can change the meaning. It's something that you can do. And some people swear by daily affirmations. One of my early mentors, Brian Tracy, that was his big thing. Very successful person. He says, well, before I'd go speak to an audience, you have to say, I'm the best and people like me. I'm like, oh, really? It's what you do? Hey, he swore by it, worked for him. I changed the meaning a little bit because I was on straight commission. I would say to myself, they owe me money. They owe me money because I didn't want to do a free presentation. The time I was selling Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn seminars, and if I didn't sell, I didn't eat. So I had to change the meaning. What works for you? So you take 2 or 3 of these, what's going to work for you, and come up with a ritual. Address your fear. Remember, fear and excitement are pretty close. Turn that fear into excitement, and that'll change the game for you. It'll make a big difference. Everybody has the same fears. I promise you, successful people just address them better. Just the fear of maybe being broke in the future is so strong that the fear of talking to 10 people today is not that big of a deal. That is the key. That is something that you want to work on and address as we talk about these different pieces. So as we talk about this, Eleanor Roosevelt, one of my favorite quotes, you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You've heard that before. Face the fear and do it anyway. You are able to say to yourself, I've lived through this horror. I could take the next thing that comes along. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. Period. That's how it is. Face the fear and do it anyway. You were only born with 2 fears, so you can deal with the big ones. The fear of success, the fear of failure, the fear of criticism, the fear of fill in the blank. What's holding you back? So let's get that fear and excitement. You're no different. I promise you. I promise you're no different. People have these fears. Are you going to deal with it, or are you going to address it and use some of those rituals we talked about, things that you can do to overcome fear? It's real around the world. That's just how it is. So what is your definition of success? That's your homework. You, not society, not parents, not neighbors, you. You might be happy with a mediocre income, living in a nice neighborhood, running the favorite charity of your life. If that's you, be you. Hey, if you want a nice house, that's fine too. We can go there. If you want a nice car, I'm okay with that too. But is that what you really want? Or do you just want that because somebody else wants that? What do you really want? Some people just want to retire, see the world, retire, go serve in a community, help with a mission, to help, again, give back, help out, change the world. That might be their thing. And die broke. That might be their thing. Helping their children, grandchildren might be your thing. So you define. And I'm not putting a limit on how many words. It says you define what success means to you. You define kind of what that perfect day looks like to you. You can do this. And it's just a little bit at a time. Remember, this is not a sprint. It's a marathon. Let me repeat that again. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon. 2 very different strategies. One takes all the energy out of you. The marathon's a little bit at a time. You got this. You can do this. And the key, let me give you the key through a story. Let's finish up with a story here. I want to hit the homework one more time on how important that is. So 2 neighbors, they had cabins up in the hills. They were guys. They were competitive. They both felt like they were smarter and stronger than the other person. And they had little competitions here and there. Then one Saturday, they decided, all right, let's see. Let's finally see. So they decided they both needed wood to chop wood for an hour. And whoever chopped the most wood for an hour was the bestest, the fastest, the smartest, whatever you want to do. So they even put some money on the line. The first neighbor's like, I can work harder. I'm going to go. I'm not even going to rest. And so he started chopping. Looked over. The other neighbor was chopping. Kept going. About 15 minutes in, the other neighbor was sitting down, leaning against a tree. And he's like, what a lazy person. I'm going to win this thing. And he looked over again a little bit later. Neighbor was chopping again. Looked over later. Kept wanting to see his competition. And they were sitting down against the tree again. Like, yeah, we can't handle it. He's not as strong as I am. So the hour came to an end. And to the neighbor one's dismay, neighbor two had chopped twice as much wood. He's like, no, I looked over. You were sitting there relaxing. I worked harder than you did. He's like, you did work harder, but I wasn't just relaxing. I was sharpening my axe. And that's the key. That's what you're doing here. It's not a waste of time. You have access to all these great courses that you can take to learn. Everything you want to learn in life's available on the internet, on these courses about success and money. You can learn these things, but it's going to go back to mindset. Sharpen the saw. Learn the skills. That's the key. Remember, success is an open book test. We have talked about that. And that is your homework. You hit it again. Don't move on until you do the homework. I don't care how long it is, but you write it out. What does your perfect day look like? How would you define success for you? Here in 10 years, what does that look like? Write it down, and then I'll meet you in Module 2. Work on these skills. Fix your mindset. Change your life. Change the world, and go out and make the world a better place.
Thanks, Kurt. I love what he teaches. I love what he stands for. You know, he's just a great guy, and the things that he is teaching, he's making a huge difference in people's lives all over the world. Best-selling author. When I grow up, I want to be more like Kurt. All right. Thanks.